with some buddies with a bazooka dunk.
Way downtown. Bang! Bang!
Mama, there goes that man.
Good afternoon. Another great afternoon with D-Boy and J-Boy. I was saying evening, but it's early. It's even morning where Josh is at. So what's going on with you, man?
Chilling, man, chilling. Just enjoying the day off and enjoying the news around the sports world, man. There's some crazy stuff going on.
Absolutely. So let's get into it. NBA season, off season is here.
Mm-hmm.
Drama. Every summer, it's something happening. This summer is no different. So let's first get it off. We've got the whole Houston thing happening. We already talked about Kevin Durant, but they shored up some big pieces with them. They got Jabari Smith and Fred VanVleet both got extensions.
Steven Adams too. That's the one we forgot about.
Oh yeah.
Got big money.
So that Houston team is like they're serious about contending. How do you view that Houston team right now?
I feel really good about it. I think it's been a long time coming for them. I'm honestly happy for them, honestly, because they haven't been true contenders since James Harden left, and they've been in rebuilding for like 3 or 4 years since he left. I like the pieces that they have. I think they should get at least one more shooter. Other than that, man, I'm excited. I'm excited for the upcoming NBA season.
Yeah, and the fact that I'm still, even though we've talked about this before, I'm still really that they didn't really give up anything to get Kevin Durant, and they were still able to shore up their team. It is really wild. But the Pelicans and Wizards made moves, for a couple basement dwellers. Nobody seems to want CJ McCollum. Like he can't just, no one's to want him, and because of the CBA, no one seems to like him either.
Yeah, bro, it's because if I was a gambling person, right, and I was a sports bettor, and somebody was like, "Hey, CJ McCollum is gonna go for 18 tonight," and I bet I'm losing my money. He's so inconsistent. I'd be so in debt. It's crazy.
It's like I'm not sure if he's a second option or a third option. Like he's a good player. I think I'm not even sure if he's even made the All-Star team yet, but he's a good player. But I'm like at his salary. But the Pelicans got Jordan Poole, and the Pelicans did a inexplicable thing that we'll talk about later about getting Derek Queen. But none of these teams got better with this move. It was so weird. Like I saw this trade. Let's see. So the Pelicans sent CJ McCollum, Kelly Olynyk, and a future second-round pick to the Wizards.
Yeah.
They got Jordan Poole, Sadiq Bey, and the number 40 pick. I'm sure there's some analytics that makes this make sense, but you got me.
I think the only exciting piece is Jordan Poole for the Pelicans, and they have Zion Williamson. They got Herbert Jones. What else they got over there? They got some solid pieces. I think they made the play-in last year or the year before, the Pelicans. But outside of that, man, they needed some consistent shooters and some winners. I think Jordan Poole is going to probably make his way up to another team before his career ends that'll be actual contenders. But CJ McCollum, he's a low value trade, honestly, because he hasn't been the same since he got traded from Portland. When he was with Portland and him and Damian Lillard were a 1-2 dynamic duo, they were something serious. But, CJ McCollum, you don't hear much from him since he been to the Pelicans. And honestly, they didn't really know what to do with him over there. He was playing point guard, shooting guard, and then he was just, whatever.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride for him. Jordan Poole, I agree, is interesting because I'm still not sure how good Jordan Poole is because it feels so. I feel like he could be really good because we've seen him have big moments with Golden State, but we've also seen him do dumb stuff in Washington. So I'm not sure if it's so. I am definitely sure he's not the person you build a team around. That's for sure. So I'm going to say he's not number one. Is he number two? Only the number one is like your leader. If it's a Steph Curry Kevin Durant type situation where like, okay, you're clearly the best player. But there's any type of discussion, or rather, because he has high confidence. But there's any type of discussion where he might consider himself the best player, you can't have him next to win because there was so we saw when he was supposed to be leader in Washington that's what they brought him over to, like he's going to bring excitement, he's going to bring scoring, and he was just not that person. So having him in New Orleans with Zion, who's undisciplined also, I'm not quite sure, but I think it's gonna be an interesting fit. I think he can give the perimeter scoring, which they really need. They needed consistent shooting because CJ McCollum's a shooter, but he's not a scorer, and Jordan Poole's a little bit of both. So that could improve them, but I think the Pelicans are still a team outside of the play-in, and the Wizards is still a lottery team.
I feel like the Pelicans are trying to pull like a OKC kind of situation, have like a young core, and then build them up to be contenders. But I agree with you. Like, not with Jordan Poole. I think if the whole Draymond Green and Jordan Poole situation didn't happen, then we'd see a different type of Jordan Poole. Like, I could definitely see him as a leader. But ever since then, like, he ain't been the same. He played around too much. You need somebody to check him. And I keep like.
The funny thing is, if Draymond didn't punch him in the face, he'd probably still be in Golden State.
For real though, for real.
Yeah, and I mean
he probably. Listen,
and they might have gone for another ring.
It's very true.
When we're being real, Jordan Poole was that extra person they needed, and if was a fifth, we'd all be drunk. But there's a lot of things, there's a lot of things that could have possibly happened if that punch did happen. So
he might have said something slick to get punched. I ain't gonna lie.
He did. He was talking because he got that money. He got his extension. He was talking cash. So no, from all reports, he earned that punch because they were, he from what I remember, I think Paulo Torre reported was that he was saying he thought that Draymond Green was gonna be the odd man out, and so he was talking shit, and so Draymond's a wild boy, and so he's only going to take but so much. And while I do not condone violence, sometimes people do need to punch them out. I mean, that's just
Sometimes, hey, the only reason it became an issue is because the video got leaked, and if it wasn't leaked, we wouldn't be like having these type of conversations,
right? Because we were like. Because we heard about it, but when we saw we were like, "Ooh, that
was hard. That was personal."
We're like, "Oh, that's so hard." He caught it back to Saginaw, Michigan. He brought it back to the Bay. Like he was like that. There was no that
was personal.
It was definitely personal. So before we get to Boston blowing up their team, what do you think about Lonzo going to Cleveland?
I like it. I don't. Because Darius Garland, it makes sense too. Because Darius Garland was hurt in a crucial moment. Lonzo's a good backup, but Lonzo's also a wild card health wise. I understand. Like I know he got like a spare knee from some during his like surgeries and stuff like that. He looked good coming back. I like the move for him to go to a contender because he would be wasting his career staying in Chicago, honestly. Cleveland is a good contender team for him. I like that he'll probably be a backup for Darius Garland. And then with him and Donovan Mitchell on the same team, he also brings a little bit more defensive edge to them as well, as a point guard and more passing.
So we are such a prisoner of anyone who has been around during the Ball brothers like rise. We're such like prisoners of them. Like So here's the thing: there is nothing about what Lonzo has really done in the NBA that makes anyone say like he's a good piece, right? Like he's had decent years, but there is nothing that you'd be like, okay, he's that piece. But we all saw how good he was at UCLA. We saw moments at LA. We saw moments in New Orleans. We saw moments that first year in Chicago when it was him, DeMar, and Zach when they were healthy. He looked good. but those moments are so fleeting, right? But because we are stuck in it, and it's not just us, it's anyone who was like tuned in during that moment. We're just like, Lonzo can do this.
Yeah.
And we're all, and he's one of the few. I think him and Giannis maybe probably the two hater-proof players in the league, where you just no matter what you feel, you just can't help but to cheer for them. It's just because you look like a fool with hating on them, cheering against them. You just look like you just look crazy. So so I hope this is it, because I want, like you, I want to see Lonzo on a team that's really competing. Because I've always liked Lonzo. I thought his dad did him a disservice coming into the league.
Really?
I do. I think number one, I think the shoes are bad. The shoes cost us early injuries. I think him saying that he's the best player in the league coming in. His dad saying that made his rookie season harder than it had to be, because everyone's like, okay, we're waiting for this next coming, because how his dad was talking, like he was next, and that was never, if you saw his game, that was never going to be his game.
Right.
Rondo is probably
It's a good comparison between the two.
Yeah. I mean, I think Lonzo is probably a better Rondo. I think I would say something like that. So I think that's his ceiling. And listen, there's nothing wrong because we saw what Rondo does, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But I think his dad was like, he's CP3, and that was never his. That was not going to be Lonzo, because Lonzo he had a lot of work to do with his shot.
I agree. The only thing, I think the comparison between Rondo is definitely spot on. I think with a little CP3 in there, with better, if he continues to work on his shooting, right? Yeah. So like CP3 is really good known for his defense and his mid range. I don't think it's too far off, honestly. And you call me crazy, but I think it's a great comparison between those two point guards. If he was like, he's Steph Curry, better than Steph Curry or something like that, then I'd be like, yeah, he smoking something like crack. But I don't think his dad did a disservice to him when he came into the league. But and hear me out on this. Mm-hmm. Yes, the shoes are bad. It did cost his career. However, outside of that, if we look at Lonzo's personality, right, and his lifestyle, he's a really like quiet, humble guy. I don't know if humble, but like, yeah, he's a pretty humble guy, honestly, up the court too. And his dad is speaking his confidence for him, because Lonzo is not going to do that. Lonzo is just going to be like, I'm going to just play my role and hopefully that we can win and like get it back and call it a day. But I think, I don't think his dad did us a service to talk about his sons, especially he's a dad. You're a dad. Like, you're going to talk about, yo, she's dope, like, right. So I think he did what a parent is going to do for their child any day of the week. But I don't think he did a disservice. I think he did a disservice with the business side of things of that, what is it? Big Baller Brand. Yeah, that's what it's called. Yeah, shoes. It was causing Melo his career too, almost with those stupid shoes that he's wearing. But that's just South play.
Right. So I was looking at their backcourt. Like, I didn't realize, number one, I did not realize that Lonzo is 6'6", right?
Yeah.
So like God, and Darius Garland is 6'1", so that's so.
They must send Darius Garland to the bench.
No, Darius Garland definitely their starter. It's you got 6'6" Lonzo, 6'1" Darius Garland, and I think Dom Mitchell might be 6'2", 6'3".
He's 6'3".
He's 6'3". So that is a weird backcourt. Like,
I like it.
It's like I can see them going three guards. I can see them going three guards and have Mobley and who's that other four they have? I can't remember thinking other four that they have.
Oh wait, they don't have another four. I mean, they have DeAndre Hunter.
Right, yeah. So,
and then Jared Allen, who's a 5.
Right, yeah. So I can see them going Mobley and Allen, and then or of course, or you can always bring Lonzo off the bench. But I can see them running that with Lonzo running the show. That frees up Darius to really be what he is, a scorer. And Donovan Mitchell Donovan Mitchell played point guard because he had to in these different stops. And because of his height, he's not what you would call a pure point guard. He can play it, but he's a shooting guard all day. So if you're taking that off the plate, when they could be dangerous. So I'm rooting for them. I want Lonzo to be that piece for them. I'm just glad that he's not going to be stuck in a losing situation.
Oh, for sure.
Real before we jump to it, funny thing. So the Bulls, remember the Bulls 4 years ago, brought in Ball, brought in DeMar DeRozan, brought in Zach LaVine and some other players. Do you realize that out of all those moves, they only got one first-round draft pick back? And on top of that, that was the same pick they traded before. So they didn't even get anything extra. They just got their pick back. Chicago's front office is terrible.
Oh my God.
They're a terrible front office.
That's a New York Knicks situation.
Yeah, terrible front office. And speaking of front offices, our boy Brad Stevens has been busy. So Brad Stevens has been busy. And so we know Kristaps is gone. That was big. Drew was gone. They got Anthony Simons, and it's rumored that Simons could still be on the move again. That's one of the latest weekend that he may not stay. It saved them $200 million in under the luxury tax. So, and his word is that they're like, hey, Derek White and Jaylen Brown is, they're available.
And a piece out of there.
But for very it's a really high price. So they're like, yeah, if y'all want to talk, we can talk, but it's a high price. So more likely those two aren't going to be moved anyway. So what do you think of this? I mean, it's possible. I'll say this: I don't think they'll be moving in the offseason. I think trade deadline, we'll see, because if teams are close, they'll be like, okay, we'll risk our future. So, what do you think? What do you think about what's happening in Boston?
I think here's how I feel about all trades that's happened. I knew all bets were off when Luka got traded this year. I knew nobody cared anymore. Everybody was like, all the teams needed was a green light. And as soon as Nico Harrison said, I'm sending Luka to Lake LA, everybody was like, bet. Let's go ahead. Let's do it. I'm surprised. I would be very surprised if they did send Derek White to a different team. And the only reason I say that is because Derek White has been super essential to the Boston Celtics to getting them a ring, and they added an extra shooter, consistent shooter, and another defensive player outside of Drew Holiday. I understand Jaylen Brown, honestly, and I like Jaylen Brown as a player. I think it's because he also, when you think of the Celtics, who you think of, Uncle T?
Tatum.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so you don't think anybody else. You think specifically Tatum the entire time as a team, as a team. So I think it makes sense to send Jaylen Brown somewhere else. I think he's a Jalen Williams from the Thunder kind of situation type of player, honestly. Like, it's really like, you'll trade him and you'll get some pretty big value from him, and he'll perform on a different team. That'd be crazy if he got sent to the Wizards, though. That way, his career would be officially over.
Yeah. So I don't like the idea. Like, I've thought about this. I don't like the idea of trading Jaylen Brown. I don't. Because while next year is going to be weird for them, because he's gonna be out. They're not gonna. I don't think, even though he can return next season, they're like probably post All-Star break. That's best case scenario. I don't think they're gonna force. I don't think they're gonna like push it. I don't like the idea of them getting rid of Jaylen Brown, mainly because who are you gonna replace him with? And it's not like it's not like Tatum is retiring, right? He's gonna be out for a season, and who are you going to replace him with?
But I think the asking price for Jaylen Brown is going to be pretty high, but it's also going to be really reasonable. I think they'll go for a younger piece with a little that has some years under his belt, like, or they could get. It's a reach, probably trade for Julius Randle to go play for the Celtics or something, or they might get like a Josh Hart situation, or they may trade for a Chet Holmgren or something like that. You can't go older in Boston because it's a
Right.
younger team all around. So
Exactly.
the asking price is going to be high, and if they do make a big blockbuster trade with Jaylen Brown, it's going to be any type of those guys from any team, honestly,
So
or
since
Daniel Gafford.
since, since we're being fantasy GM, okay, the Spurs just picked up Dylan Harper.
Yeah,
I mean, Jalen Brown for De'Aaron Fox, I'm not mad at.
that's terrible.
No,
That's terrible.
no, it wouldn't.
What?
No, I would take because De'Aaron Fox could come in, play the two. Derek White can still play the one. For the Spurs, you get a better 3-man, and then you still have to worry about that shuffle of Stephon Castle and where he's going to fit. I think that's kind of but having to worry about just one extra person, then having to worry about Stephon Castle, De'Aaron Fox, and Dylan Harper. I don't like.
Hey man,
Like
listen.
I'm not mad at it. I mean, I'm sure everyone in Miami is like send Jalen Brown there, but I don't know how they make that deal work. But
Because the Heat doesn't have anybody.
they don't.
Or any picks.
It would have to be a ton of picks and people like Javier Vasquez and people like that, And I don't think that's something that the Celtics want, because all Missoula wants is somebody who can shoot threes. So that's how he plays. Right? But we'll see. But yeah, I think the Celtics, this team that we see right now, it probably won't be the same team we see on opening day. I think there's still moves to be made. There's still some moves to be made. But I just
for the Celtics.
For the Celtics, I don't think they're done. I don't think listen. I don't know.
No.
Yeah, I don't know who else is going, but I don't think they're done.
I think the personnel send is probably Derek White, honestly.
Yeah, I just don't want a year of bad basketball from them, because they're waiting for him to come back, and that's my biggest thing.
I think here's what I think should happen. Right, Brad Stevens is a good finagler. Okay, he's a great finagler. If he trades for the Spurs, he's getting Stephon Castle. If he wants somebody, he is going to get them.
Yeah,
like that's fact, right? Mm-hmm. So I think honestly, Derek White is going to be on the trading block for sure. He already is, but I think once Jason Tatum comes back, I think Jaylen Brown will be traded next year, not this coming season, but next year, because I think what they want, Jason Tatum get his legs underneath him again, post surgery, play some more games with him the start of next season, the following year, and then once they see Tatum is back, Jaylen Brown is gone. That's what I think, and that's how I think they should play it, honestly.
Yeah, I can see that working. I just don't want to hear bad basketball from them. I mean, honestly, it's probably bad. It's going to be bad basketball because of how Missoula coaches anyway. And he's not going to have the team to do it. So next season is going to be it's going to be a weird one.
You really don't like this man. He didn't do nothing but win.
I don't, man. I don't. I'll say it. I'll say it until this black man turns blue in the face. Joe Mazzulla ring is Ime's ring, and so I will say it. Listen, that is Ime's ring, and there is again. I'm not going to beat this dead horse. We've done this like 3 episodes, so I'm not going to beat this dead horse. But listen, all this man has done is just take Ime's team and destroy it. That's all.
And win a ring.
He won a ring. And then the following year, where he had to actually coach, like really coach, his team got destroyed by the Knicks. They weren't competitive. Let's be real. That they were not competitive.
Dude, stop it.
They were not competitive. And
Stop.
that team gave up in Game 6 when it got to be too much. They gave up.
Stop.
You can't tell me that if Ime was coaching that team would have went out that way. Ime coached a team that couldn't shoot, and they took Golden State to 7 games. A team that couldn't shoot, they could not shoot.
Joe Mazzulla can coach because he took the Knicks to Game 6,
dude,
without Tatum.
But he had a Finals MVP with Jaylen Brown. He had an All-Star, an Olympian, and Derek White. So it's not like it was empty. But no, he
Come on, man.
Hey guys, I have this idea. I got this idea. We're gonna take 53 pointers no matter what. Don't change anything. Don't make any adjustments. We're just gonna take 53s, and I promise you, we're gonna hit them enough, and we're gonna win the 4 games. And he
stop.
So
come on, man.
I'm gonna stop again. This is like our third episode screen. And like stepping on Joe Mazzulla. I'm trying that. All right. So let's move on to the NBA draft.
Yeah.
AKA Cooper Flag and them boys, because that's pretty much what it kind of came down to. The worst kept secret ever. Cooper Flag went number 1. Dylan Harper went number 2, and then that's when it got interesting because for some reason Ace Bailey thought that he was better than what the scouts thought of. First of all, the biggest thing is that everybody thought Ace Bailey was 6'10", and then they find out that he's 6'7". That is
that's crazy.
His whole freshman college season, they're like, he's 6'10", he's like Kevin Durant, he can move, he can do all this thing. He gets to the combine and he's like, oh no, he's 6'7". That's like, can you imagine going to Subway trying to get a 6-inch sub when they hand you a 3-inch sub? You're like, what the hell is this? Like, what the hell is this? What are you giving me? So not only is he 6'7", he's a scorer that struggles on defense. He has long arms, but he's like similar to a LaMelo type player where we have not seen him win. How do you have 2 lottery picks on this Rutgers team and you guys can't even get into a tournament of what's the tournament now? Like 68 teams? And you guys can't figure out the way to be one of 68. And you guys have 2 lottery picks.
Yeah.
And everyone says Dylan Harper wasn't the problem. So if the number 2 pick wasn't the problem, I guess it was number 5. So, and his string of bad decisions. This guy was
crazy shots.
He says that, you know what? I want to go to either New Orleans, Charlotte, or Washington. These are 3 teams that don't win. Like he was even trying to position himself to go to like, hey, I want to try to get to like, I don't know, Milwaukee or a team that maybe that something. Washington, New Orleans, and Charlotte. Like, and then Danny Ainge, being the person he is, he's like, you know what? I understand. You probably want to be around black people. You know what? I got something for you. Come to Utah. And he's in Utah now.
Mormon society.
Right. This has been his draft. Ace Bailey has been one of the oddest things that I can remember seeing going into a draft.
Yeah. I think Ace Bailey he's gonna learn a really, really tough lesson out in Utah. Honestly, in the NBA in general, honestly. Because, we saw the same thing with LaMelo Ball. I'm glad you brought his name up too, because his dad did a lot of the talking for LaMelo, and like they're like, oh, he's gonna be like this and such and whatnot. And he struggled, or whatever. The same situation with Ace Bailey is happening. Honestly, he's talking a lot, or his camp is talking a lot.
Yeah,
and they're putting a bad image on a young guy, and he's what, 18, 19?
19, yeah.
So like, if like they're taking advantage of Ace Bailey, and Ace Bailey is not making it any better. He's just like, Yes. But I understand, though. I hate the approach. I understand what he's doing, right?
Mhm.
You're correct. Washington, Charlotte, and New Orleans are not winning teams, okay? But they're teams where people will watch to laugh. But when they see Ace Bailey, they'll see, oh, this kid's kind of got game.
Yeah.
Unless he's been like holding out in college, but like he's probably going to work his market and value over the next couple of years on his rookie deal, and then ask to be traded, or they'll just trade him out of Utah to go to another team once they really show what's going on.
Right.
But Utah is also not a winning team because they just traded for Colin Sexton for Yusuf Nurkic, and that's a joke.
You're right. So it's. What do you think of? I saw somebody pose this question. What do you think of like this newer generation is going to be the first group of players really that aren't being like that's not coming out of like either like poverty or like a lower middle class, right? So because of NIL, a lot of these players are like rich, like legitimately rich already because of NIL. So this is like the first generation is like, you can't do this to me because I'm rich.
Right.
So I just wonder how that I know you have some NIL thoughts later. We'll get to that later. But I just wonder how that's going to impact these players and these moves, because now it's like, okay, fine. I just made 10 million in college. So if I need to sit out because I want to have more control of my destiny, I'll sit out. You know, like we saw there were thoughts of that with Caleb Williams in Chicago.
Yeah,
that was his thought that he was going to, because he wasn't hurting for money. He didn't need to, he didn't need to work, so to speak. So I just wonder how this, and I hate because this word's been thrown around so much, this sense of entitlement because of what you have financially is how that's going to impact these players coming up.
I think, and we'll touch base on. I'll touch more about it later on, but like I think honestly, the sense of entitlement is well deserved because the college has been built on the backs of these young players, and honestly, the demographic. And honestly, if we're gonna take it somewhere, they're gonna take it here on the backs of Black athletes.
True,
right? The college sports right now is filled with 77% of Black men. The other 20 or 24 is white athletes. People are like, these companies are coming after these Black athletes. Like, yo, I want to pay you this kind of money. Yep. And then I know, like, they probably do their whole bunch of background stuff, but I won't touch them on it. But like, it's just, I'm about to start my clear out right now, but save
it. Okay, so yeah, so I just like, so let's talk about Cooper Flag.
Yes.
So I'm still not quite sold on him. I got some people from Duke who I'm gonna reach out to, but I'm still not sold on him. Here's my where I'm conflicted, because people who I trust their opinions on basketball, they are completely in his camp. They are like, he's the one, he can do this, he is the guy. Yeah. But when I see him play, I see someone who has great fundamentals, but to me, he's like a slow Paul George, and I'm not sure how that works in the NBA. Now, luckily in the NBA now, you can control your pace. If you have good ball handling, no one can really speed you up, and that's fine. I don't see it. But everybody who I trust do. So I'm just like, I'm not trying to be overly arrogant, like I know better, but there's just something about his game that I'm not seeing translate to the next level.
I'm sold on Cooper Flag, honestly. I'm also sold on him a lot. I think I think it's a lot of the questions is like, should he have stayed one more year and then declare for the draft? Because he's still very young. He just got there, and I think he really wanted to run it back with Duke. But I think he should have stayed one more year. But I am sold on Cooper Flag. I don't like the fact that they're putting the label of savior of the Dallas Mavericks on him, because one, he's still too young. Also, you have two future Hall of Famers already on your team. That's Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis. If you're gonna put the pressure on somebody, put the pressure on those two injury-prone dum-dums. Okay, like those guys, like they know they both have a ring and they know what it takes to get there. Like you should really put more pressure on your two veterans. Um, Cooper Flag is they're already giving him like a Luka Doncic comparison type of player anyway, and it's stupid. I don't like it. But here's the diabolical side of me though, right? I want Cooper Flag to stink it up so bad so Nico Harrison gets fired. Okay. I truly dislike Nico Harrison. Also, I hate the way he looks. He looks all day, bro. They put the camera on him in the game, and he's like. But I don't think he's a good GM. Honestly, he probably needs to be put in a different part of the business. But yeah, man, I just want him to stink it up so Nico Harrison gets fired, and the Dallas Mavericks community continues to hate on him. Maybe they'll like TP his house or something. Like,
I'm surprised they haven't done it yet. It's probably because he lives in a gated community. Yeah,
he probably does. I mean, they probably did do it. He just called the police on him or something.
Seriously, they don't like it. So another draft story was the Derek Queen to New Orleans. That New Orleans traded some like they traded so many picks to get him. And so look, I watched Derek Queen in the Big Ten tournament and the NCAA tournament. He's from Baltimore, so like a lot of my friends are from Baltimore today. You know, of course, they're excited about him. Man, I don't know if he's number 10 pick because one, he's just like Zion but less athletic. I don't understand what New Orleans is doing with this pick. I don't, because I see Zion, who is athletic but can't stay healthy, same body size, and I see him similar body shape, not nearly as athletic, has a softer touch though, but not athletic. I don't know where he fits. Now, if they're like he's a bench player, cool. But why are you blowing up a number 10 pick on someone coming off the bench? That is wild to me.
So hear me out, right? If this is the player that I'm thinking of, and I gotta look it up again. Derek Queen's like the bigger, solid guy. He always wears the long sleeves, right?
Yeah.
They compared him to Nikola Jokic type of play style. Because he's big, because he has that soft touch, and he's what, 6'10"?
Maybe.
I think. Yeah, and like the coach was really, really, really pushing the media to be like, "Yo, like you need to get this guy. He's undervalued." Like Oklahoma's coach was literally telling him. I think he's from playing for Oklahoma. His coach was like, "Yo, you need to get this guy." So like,
yeah, he's 6'10".
I see why. He wouldn't go to anywhere else. He's not going to Memphis. He's not going to the Knicks.
Yeah, true.
He's not going to the Celtics. Like he's not going to anywhere else. He's going to go to a rebuilding team, and they're going to use him. I just hope it's not another Kenny Lofton Jr. situation.
So I mean, no, I don't think so. I think he's more talented than Kenny Lofton. I mean, he's 6'10", 245. He averaged 17 and 9. So not bad, shooting like 53% from the field. So and he's a 5.
Right.
So but I don't know. I don't like. I like him.
That's a lot of points.
It is, but I don't know, man. I just don't like his fit with New Orleans. I guess that's the biggest. I don't like that fit in New Orleans. I don't like.
I can see that.
Yeah, I like. It's not against him. I just don't like his fit in New Orleans. And yeah, I don't know. But we'll see.
Is it just like the culture? Like, would you prefer he go to Utah and Ace Bailey go to New Orleans then?
Man, Ace. No, like I would want Derek Queen. I don't know. I'm like, I don't have a place in mind. Like, honestly, I would mind him going to a team like Phoenix. Because they need size. They need, they need that. And he can really, and he'll be young, somebody who can go on the Bucks wing. I think, like, I wouldn't mind like a team like that where there's I mean, there's not going to be any pressure in New Orleans, but a team where there's no pressure, but he can really grow and he has somebody to really learn from. There's nobody for him to really like learn from in New Orleans, honestly. And I think, yeah, I honestly think New Orleans needs to get off
blow
Zion.
it up.
Yeah, I think they need to fully put Zion on the market and just kind of really start all over.
They probably will, honestly, but I think because if I'm New Orleans, and I'm gonna be real, like I'm always real. The fact of like if I'm New Orleans, it's a risky move for me because what happens is that the money stops coming in, and then the viewership goes down for people wanting to watch the Pelicans.
True, and it's already
so
Pelicans.
Exactly, and so with Zion being able to be healthy and play, and he's a moneymaker, and they win. Like they win pretty decently.
So here's the thing, and so they they really can't blow it up because they gave away their number 23 pick for him and an unprotected first rounder. So if they blow it up next year, they're going to be in a lottery, and they could that unprotected first rounder could easily be a top 3 pick because they're probably not going to be that good this year. So they can't. So that's one of the reasons why it's kind of like weird for them is that they really sacrifice next year lottery pick for this guy, and I'm not sure if there's that kind of value there. I guess that's the big thing.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time the Pelicans were even good. Anyway, honestly, I feel like the last time they were pretty good was when like before they became what was it? They were like the Hornets before they became the Pelicans.
I think that year with DeMarcus Cousins and AD when DeMarcus Cousins got injured, I think that year they were really good. And then they had 1 year when they had the that Lakers group that they were contending for a while, and then they weren't good enough.
They just died. Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to next. Malik Beasley. This is wild. So I'm gonna bring up so I can make sure I have the right information that we're telling people. So
he's not charged; it's just an investigation.
Right, exactly. So where is it? So Malik Beasley, he's not currently charged, but he's a part of a federal probe. And that probe has halted his NBA contract. He's a free agent. He was supposed to be getting renewed. He was getting a potential $42 million deal, right? So what's happening at the NBA is cooperating fully with federal authorities, and they are just investigating his involvement. Keep in mind, this is on the tails of Jonte Porter, who got a lifetime ban because for gambling. He was doing prop betting scheme. Also, Terry Rozier was also investigated by federal authorities earlier this year. He has not been charged. So of course, you remember the whole referee scandal, which was before the whole legalized sportsbook thing. So what I did some research, and there's a bigger conversation about these gambling sites and their entanglement with professional sports. In the NFL, they had Josh Shaw from the Cardinals. He was suspended in 2019. Also, dude from Alabama, a wide receiver who played for Jacksonville. He was suspended for a year. And the NHL, Calvin Ridley, thank you. NHL, Evander Kane, he was investigated, didn't find any evidence. UFC, baseball, everyone has had, all the major sports have had something that since these sports betting books companies have came into professional sports. So I think it's stupid because you guys are already millionaires, but I know that there's a whole greed factor, which I get. What do you see, and not just with Malik Beasley, but what are your thoughts on how sports gambling and these things are intertwining right now, and how do you think it's going to affect sports and the athletes?
I think it's gonna make sports toxic. Honestly, I don't think players should not be allowed to bet. Period. Players, fighters, whatever, they should not be allowed to bet on themselves. And also, the tricky thing about it is that I saw it's the U.S. District Attorney's office that's coming after Malik Beasley. This isn't some like local lawyer. These are like you have the feds on you, bro. Like that's so crazy. But in this, and at the same time too, like I think these people are just bored. They're like, what if I just want to spice it up and bet on myself a little bit, or like bet against my team, add a little razzle dazzle. If I get something, I get something.
Yeah.
I'm bored. I'm tired of playing basketball, doing something that I love, making millions of dollars. Every time I step on the court, they're ching, ching. I'm so sick and tired of that. Like I'll just add a little spice to it. So I think that's what's going on. Players are just bored. They're tired of doing the same thing every single day. They probably feel like it's military, which is routine every single day. Like, they need to do much. And then also, they could be running out of money because they spend it on so much stuff that's not necessary. So,
I mean, yeah. So I've heard athletes are just like us. They live paycheck to paycheck, which is
Yeah.
weird because you're like, how is that possible? But they do. There is this convergence of how much is it too much of a good thing. I think we wanted for years the ability to legally bet on sports.
Mhm.
And what I don't like about it is the fact that you have people in the stands yelling at LeBron, I need you to get 2 more boards so I can hit my parlay. It's like, and he's like, what? Like you have these fan interactions now where not only and I'm going to get this a little bit, and it might clear out, but where there's not a love for the game, they're looking for a payout now. They're like, hey, I don't really like basketball, but I need you to get this 1 rebound for me so I can hit my parlay, and then I'm going to have a good day. We've taken the fun out of everything, and not that betting was ever really gambling. Not a gambling. I mean, for some people, gambling is fun. If you don't have a problem, it can be fun. But it's because you don't have to do anything. You don't have to go to your local bookie, right? You don't have to go up the street. You don't have to search anybody out. It's too convenient, and so that way, I think from the convenience, there's a sense of entitlement, and then there's just a sense of like these athletes owe us to perform these feats. And listen, in certain games, Kevin Durant doesn't need to score 35 points. He can score 25 points and his team wins and he's good. But you have this random sports fan in Florida's like, I need 35 points. Yes, the Suns are up by 20. He's not going to score more. You can't get mad at Kevin Durant for playing the game also to be played.
Right.
So we have to figure out how to balance this where sports aren't going to become more aren't going to become more toxic, and keep the players from making stupid mistakes because they're losing so much money. He can lose $42 million, and he's not a max player. So losing $42 million, that is a lot of money for him.
I ain't gonna lie, like I think the NBA, NFL, all sports should just make betting illegal. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. Like at some point, and God forbid this happens, and it's a giant reach for me to say this too. I feel like at some point, players are going to have their lives in danger and they might get attacked. Like, I think at some point, someone is deliberately going to either hurt somebody, find out where, because people are crazy, man. I'm not gonna lie. People are crazy. Nothing surprises me these days. Like, I feel like if somebody was gonna be like, Luka, I just need you to sit out tonight so the backup can play. Like, dude, Dalton Connect could go, drop 15 or whatever. I'm convinced that somebody will go out of their way, find out where Luka lives, break into his house, hurt him, and then just in order just to win some money. Like, it's a reach, but it's not too far of a reach at this point in time in life, honestly.
It's happened before. Like athletes' lives have been threatened. Right, that's when gambling was more hidden. But yeah, things like that could absolutely happen. The problem is that these sports book companies, they're putting too much money into these professional leagues, and so that's why once we rip the Band-Aid off, it's done. Like FanDuel, DraftKings, Prize Picks, all these companies, they're pouring money. And look, again, I'm not against them. So hey, let's DraftKings, if you want to sponsor us, please. Let's go. But no, but seriously, like they're pouring so much money into the leagues and into the media outlets for these leagues. They're here to stay.
Yeah. Hey man, I agree. I just think like if it's gonna happen, right, it's gotta be banned from players specifically. It has to. And I think it's already a rule. I think that players cannot bet, period.
Right.
And so I just think they need to be a little bit more strict with it. Like if they're going to treat like make Javante Porter, I think his name Javante Porter or Jonte
Yeah,
Porter,
Dante Porter, yeah.
as an example for betting, then they need to do the same thing with Malik Beasley. And the Detroit Pistons can find another backup shooter. And they probably got a whole bunch of them anyway.
True. All right. So with that said, we are going to move on to the clear out. I'm gonna pass Josh to Rock, and I'm gonna let him cook.
All right. So my thing is about the NIL for college players. I think it's well deserved. Honestly, it is well deserved because sports has been built on the back of these college athletes. Okay, if I'm going to take it somewhere, I'm going to take it there. It's been built off the backs of Black athletes. The demographic for college sports is 77% minority and also 24% of white athletes. The thing is, players go to the league, have jumped to any type of league, the NBA, NFL, NHL, whatever it is, to make money. And now that the NCAA in 2021 has officially allowed college players to finally start getting paid for what they would love to do, I think it's turned out beautifully for athletes in general. And I think it should have happened a long time ago. And I think the reason that this should have happened a long time ago because we had players putting money over academics as a priority. Okay, they don't care about school. They're just like, I just want to go ahead, go to the league, feed my family because mom's got bills, dad's got bills. Like they're not paying for it. I gotta find out a way to grind and get to the league and take care of my family and retire my parents. Right. That was every person's dream to do those particular things. And now they are able to do those things at the college level. With that being said, it has become kind of like a toxic thing now. Not toxic, but it's been taken advantage of. And I know it's there for that, but now players have chosen to spend money and believe and trick themselves into thinking they can buy ownerships or partnerships into teams into drafting them. Prime example, Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams said, I am whoever team I get drafted to, I want ownership of that team. You have got to be joking. Your NIL is $1 million, bro. Why? Or maybe 13 mil at the most. These teams that you're trying to take ownership in, they're going to tell you, cough up $500 million, almost $1 billion, and then we'll start talking. You don't have that. Also, shut up. You go where we draft you, you do what we tell you to do, you play for us, and you make your money, and then you retire, and then you can start talking about taking ownership. Also, any league is not going to do that, and I think it's absolutely ridiculous. NIL for college players was meant to take care of their tuition for players who take care of themselves, take care of tuition, and do whatever they need to do to stay out of trouble. And it's also a great thing to do for NIL players to just save money if their career doesn't pan out. Honestly, I think the NIL is a great beta form for college athletes of getting money. Now there needs to be some type of restrictions from what they see because now players have gotten besides themselves and gotten too cocky to be like, I don't need to work anymore. Honestly, I got enough money to do whatever I want to do, and I'm gonna just tell people what to do and just it is what it is. I think the NIL needs to start putting limits on how much players can get, and it's not about them living above their means. I think they should have restrictions of like, okay, your tuition is this. If you're on scholarship, if you're on a full ride, cool. But if you're not on a full ride, your tuition is this. This is your bills for food. If you have a car, you can get a car. This is enough money to take care of yourself. And if you want to get to the league, you have to continue to earn that money to get to the league. Because what we're going to pay you is going to be very little to what the NBA is going to be able to pay you. You just have to play your butt off and grind to get to that money. I think the other downside for the NIL is that players don't work as hard as they should to continue to be in the league. I think it takes away that grinding and that hunger and starvation to be successful away from them. And I think that needs to be turned around a little bit. And also, parents, stop banking on your kids' careers to help you get out of a financial situation. It's understandable, but you cannot keep living through your kids vicariously to make you happy, and it gives off a bad perception that you want to take advantage of your kids to take care of you. And that's not fair. It's not fair because then it takes the joy out of kids loving to play sports, kids loving to just be themselves and be free. You're putting grown folks' responsibility on teenagers that have not begun to experience life the way they want it, the way life is meant to be experienced. And I think it's robbing kids of a childhood and adulthood, and it gives them, honestly, low-key trauma to take care of people, and that's not what you want. I know for a fact if that was me, my parents would not want that for me. They'd be like, bro, get your money, save your money. And my dad would probably tell me, you need to save it, put it in some stocks, get a savings account, and we got to start training these kids to be financially responsible, teach them about savings, teach them about stocks, bonds, Rule 72, look at these companies, like create a savings account, get a credit card, what it looks like to take care of a credit card, all that stuff. That needs to be taught for these kids who are getting all this bread and not to be mainly taken care of for financial responsibility. That's it. I'm done.
Hey, no, listen, no, I agree with you. With the newest ruling on NIL, we may be slowly getting to that because it looks like they're kind of creating a salary cap, which I think is super important because there was too much money that was just flowing into these schools. So hopefully, crazy. Yeah. But I completely agree with you. All right, so I'm gonna do a clear out, and my thing, of course, is sometimes I've been beating this horse about how people view the NBA and how media talks about this, including their partners. But I'm gonna go a little bit further here. So the NBA season is over. And, everyone has an opinion, including us, because that's kind of what we do, right? They take too many threes. The players don't try hard. The season's too long. But what this season has shown me is that the people who complain the most, they don't watch the game. They don't love the game. You have goofs like Emmanuel Acho creating a legacy calculator. He's a complete nerd to diminish Kevin Durant's greatness. You have Marcellus Wiley and Gilbert Arenas now trying to say that no one thought of Kobe as one of the greats until he died. This is crazy. They don't love the game. And that's why we need to stop listening to these people. I'm never against anyone making their money, right? In the realm of specifically sports and music, look, we have people commenting, creating narratives that don't love or help the art or the game. In music, we have people like academics who got popular by exploiting the violence in Chicago from his safe house in New Jersey, being the go-to guy for music opinions. Sometimes having all the facts is great, but the best barbershop conversation all comes down to the passion and the love. And that's what it boils down to. And that's what we're missing. See, the thing is, it's more fun to argue your heart. It's fun to say, hey, T-Mac is better than Kobe, and not have to be like, oh, T-Mac averaged 28.7 and Kobe only averaged 26.5. No, we didn't argue like that. We just like, no, T-Mac put somebody in the poster. Can Kobe do that? And that's what it was about. So look, people like Gilbert Arenas, I know they love the game, but I also know he loves clicks, and for him, clicks equal money. So he will add extra salt in his opinions to make it go viral. But I was there with regular people, and there was a conversation if T-Mac was actually better than Kobe. But it all came down to T-Mac couldn't win in the big moments. So while T-Mac might have had the better stats, T-Mac did not perform. Tracy McGrady, for those who don't know, did not perform in the biggest moments. So, but that's neither here nor there. But we have to get rid of these people who are just scavengers, who are just picking off the carcass of sports and hip hop. I just don't like them. It becomes boring. And we keep accepting these people. that's how things like AI take hold. Because, like Jay-Z once said, if you created one hole, create another hole. But you can't. But these people, because they keep mimicking their own opinions, you can create another person like them. And that's how AI is able to take hold. These companies they keep chasing clicks, chasing someone or chasing something except the game. Look, I don't have a purity test about who can and who can't come on the game, because that's not my way. But how they approach topics, you can clearly see where the love is. But their love isn't music or basketball. Their love is attention. And that's where I put the onus on us, the regular person. We keep watching them. We keep clicking on Stephen A. Smith saying outrageous things. We click on Marcellus Wiley and all these other people. So it's our fault. We created these monsters. So if we created them, then we're the ones that have to slay these dragons. And so if we don't, we're going to continue to be flooded by these clones. And if it's not their clones, don't be surprised if you see an AI version of Stephen A. Smith in a few years, because we thought it was cool to say the same thing over and over again. So that's my clear out. Again, I keep beating this horse about the media and how people who cover the NBA don't do it in a fair way, but that's kind of where my head is at right now.
Yo, that was a bar though. We're responsible for creating these beasts. That is a bar.
Thank you. I try. Every now and then I come up with something.
Be more spitting over here.
All right. So,
honestly, you made a lot of valid points. I think you're 100% right about Gilbert Arenas, about clicking for saying stuff for clicks. Stephen A. An AI Stephen A. Probably a better version of the real Stephen A. right now. I started losing respect from him early or late last year, when he started crashing out over Braun way too much and started doing a whole bunch of childish stuff, man.
Yeah,
it was crazy.
My fork in the road with Stephen A. Smith was the Kyrie Irving thing, because that was when COVID. We had all these fake doctors online and blah 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 blah, and so they were anti-vax or whatever.
Yep.
I always felt like this: if you are anti anything, then stand on business. Say, look, I don't believe in this. And a lot of those people who were talking all this stuff, they went back to their regular jobs, took the vaccine, and didn't say anything. But Kyrie stood on business. And I said, you know what, fine. I am cool with you standing on it. And Stephen A. Smith kept calling this man lazy. Kept calling him lazy. And I was like, he's standing on his principle. And this is someone who can afford to stand on principle, because he's already rich. So he could afford to do it. And so the fact that he did it, and look, it's not like he wasn't missing out money, but he did it anyway.
Right.
He was standing on principle, and you're calling him lazy. You called him lazy because he chose his mental health, because he wanted to be with his family. He needed time away from the team. You kept calling this man lazy. We have got something weird happened to us in COVID, and part of it, I think, when it comes to sports specifically, The Last Dance, where we thought, and these docs on Kobe, where we keep thinking that to be great, you have to be one of those two.
Right.
Mike and Kobe are outliers. They are not nobody obsesses about things and that's why they excel to different heights.
Right.
But they're outliers. To expect everybody to go to be that competitive. You had Mike pitching pennies against a security officer. He just has to win at something. That is not normal. Perfect. Yes, there are different levels of work ethic and stuff like that, which we applaud. But Mike's level of obsession to winning at every single thing is not normal
crazy.
Or healthy. So
that's sick, man. It's sick.
Right. And even Kobe was competitive like that while he was in the league, but we saw a different side of Kobe post league in his retirement. To keep comparing these athletes to them and if you don't love the game like them, then you're not. No. And I think that bothers me to no end.
You just helped me plan out my next clear out, by the way, for the next episode.
All right.
The new era versus the old era, and put some respect on both of them, but absolutely, don't make it toxic.
True. All right, well, yo, this has been great. Another Monday. So with that said, we're gonna get out of here because we both got things to do today. So so that's Jay Moore. This is B Moore. A Tribe Called Swish signing out for you. All right, peace.
Peace.